Hey people, it's Nayas Toki. This is a Black Traitors video, and the source I'm using is blackpast.org. This is Juan Garrido, circa 1480 to 1550. Born around 1480 in West Africa, Juan Garrido is the most prominent among the small group of African freedmen who traveled to the Americas to take part in the Spanish conquest of the West Indies and Mexico in the late 15th and early 16th centuries. He later became an agricultural innovator and is credited with introducing wheat harvesting to the Americas. After arriving in Lisbon, Portugal, and I'll just say this is another thing about him being a trader. So he helped lead the conquest of the West Indies and Mexico and introduce wheat harvesting. Now, first off, if you don't know your history, huge parts of the slave trade was motivated by bringing people to the New World, America, the Caribbean, Central and South America, to work all the farms there, plantations. So by conquering it and making it available, he made a huge area available that needed to be worked by slaves. And then he introduced wheat harvesting. Now, let's be fair, most African slaves were not brought to the Americas to harvest wheat. But the more you show that you can grow crops there and you can be successful growing farms there, it makes it more likely, and it shows to all the Spanish, hey, and all the other colonizers, we can turn this place into a profitable venture and we need more people to work it. So he helped lead the way of the conquering and the commercial farming of the Americas. After arriving in Lisbon, Portugal, and becoming Christianized circa 1495, Garrido traveled to the island of Santo Domingo. I think that's modern day, the Dominican Republic and Haiti. Although the record is conflicting, he probably accompanied a Spaniard by the name of Pedro Garrido as a protege or servant. By 1508, Juan Garrido was part of the Spanish auxiliary forces that helped invade and capture Puerto Rico and Cuba. His 1538 petitionary proofs of merit to the Spanish Archivo General de Indias at Seville described his 30 years of service to the Spanish crown in various imperial conquests, including the pacification of the Caribbean islands. By 1519, Garrido, a veteran conquistador, was a member of the Hernan Cortes expeditionary force that invaded Mexico and laid siege on the Aztec capital at Tenochtitlan. Having witnessed and survived the slaughter of Cortes' troops in July of 1520, Garrido assisted in collecting dead bodies of Spanish soldiers and erecting a commemorative chapel near the site of the killings. For his service in the conquest of Mexico, Garrido was granted property on a dried-out lake bed outside the former Aztec capital in 1522. Garrido became a farmer and was the first cultivator to harvest the wheat crop in the Americas. Along with cultivating grapes, Garrido's wheat production was in direct response to the appetites of the growing number of Spanish secular and religious settlers in Mexico. Wheat bread played an important cultural role as a mark of elite social status. So you see, by growing this food, it encourages more Spaniards to come and make it more like home for the Spaniards. In 1523, Juan Garrido again took part in expeditionary exercises to explore the economic viability of the regions of Michoacan and Zacatula. He returned to Mexico City in 1524. While a resident of the new Spanish city, he was granted a house plot, and between 1524 and 1526 held posts of both doorkeeper portero of the city and protector of the capital's main source of water, the Chapultepec aqueduct. Garrido was paid a sum of 50 pesos a year. By 1528, Garrido was following the gold rush to Zacatula province with a group of slaves and equipment. Fine. So that means he was a slave owner, or at the very least he was control of them. So anyway, finding a little success, he returned to Mexico City the same year in debt. Garrido's fortunes took a turn, however, as he became part of the staff for Hernando Cortes' expedition to Baja California, c. 1536 to 1533 to 1536. While hoping to find gold, pearls, and Amazons, Garrido and company encountered only poor weather and a disease-decimated native population. The expedition was a failure, and Garrido returned to Mexico City. According to legal documents, Garrido died in the capital sometime between 1547 and 1550, leaving behind a wife and 3 children. Now, you might say this guy was not as important as, say, Hernan Cortes and Francisco Pizarro to the conquest of the Americas, but he is part of the philosophy that you see amongst a lot of black people nowadays. I mean, it's always been there, but now it's become more common. You hear the phrase, get the bag, get the bag. And he was doing his bit to get the bag. He was becoming a mercenary. He was going to other countries and conquering them and destroying them and in helping to enslave those nations. And in turn, he would help his own people be enslaved, because once these places were pacified, someone would need to farm those places, and they would be his people from West Africa who would be taken there. And like this whole mentality of get the bag is a very dangerous one, because it teaches people that everything is okay. Throw everyone under the bus as long as you get the money. It was a Tupac song, or was it Ghetto Gospel? I gotta get paid. Was it? You made it in a sleazy way. I made a G today. What do you call it? But you made it in a sleazy way, selling crack to the kids. Hey, but I gotta get paid. But that's the way it is, or something like that. And people are championing that, and it's just growing. And the thing is, it's actually self-defeating. You think that you're winning by getting the bag. You're throwing your own people under the bus and collectively throwing yourself down with them. So anyway, Juan Garrido, and I'm sure there are more black conquistadors. But in a way, they're on the same league, I would think, as the Buffalo Soldiers. Because the Buffalo Soldiers might have thought that they were doing something by fighting for the US government. But what were they really doing? Fighting America's enemies. Fighting our people who were oppressed and putting them down. And Juan Garrido is not a hero. But anyway, I've said enough. Please comment, rate, share, and subscribe, and I'll put some more sources in the description. Peace.